Hello, on today's episode of The Carolina Storyteller, we're going to be talking about an Embassy Suites hotel in Charleston, South Carolina, and what it has to do with the creepy and paranormal. And then, did you know that presidents have been cursed since like 1812? Find out more on today's episode of The Carolina Storyteller.
In the dark woods where shadows creep, stories rise as the campfire reaps. Jonathan Floyd's a haunting thrill. With every tale he bends on will. Echoes whisper, the night draws near. By the firelight, our fears collide. The Carolina Storyteller, our guide. Through the spooky, the feathering fight. Fables of darkness igniting the night of the night.
Hey, folks, welcome back to The Carolina Storyteller. I am your storyteller, Jonathan Miller. It's a pleasure to have you guys here with me today. Great to be seeing you. I hope you guys have had a wonderful Valentine's Day last week. Got to tell your loved ones how much you love them. So today's stories all are kind of centered on some really weird things that have happened. We're going to start going to Charleston, South Carolina. We're going to talk about the Citadel. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Citadel is a college in Charleston, but it was also at some point in time a fort, and it was also a tobacco storage for a period of time. It was built in 1758 and was there to protect the city of Charleston. Um, let's not forget that Charleston was kind of in the whole Pirates of the Caribbean thing. A lot of people don't like to talk about that, but the pirates actually did sail up to Charleston. At one point in time, Blackbeard held Charleston hostage, and we'll get into that story at some point or time or another. So the Citadel had some importance more than just being the school where uh, Marines were trained for years and years and years to become officers. The Citadel had a lot more to do with being just a military college. So back in the 1850s, a large portion of the Citadel was kind of converted from the military school. Um, this building was burnt down in 1882, and parts of it were not rebuilt. And while the school is still there in 1922, part of it was moved across the banks to the other side of the Ashley River. Now, in 1996, the original building was completely renovated and turned into an upscale Embassy Suites hotel. Now this hotel has 153 guest rooms, 9 meeting rooms. It's a massive 2,664 square foot ballroom and a 12-foot fountain in the atrium. It's got high-speed internet. You get a completely complimentary cook-to-order breakfast in the morning when you stay there. Whirlpool and fitness center. I mean, this place is like top of the line. It even comes with its own ghost. The spirit that is known to haunt this Embassy Suites hotel is called the Lost Cadet. Now, um, witnesses describe the entity to be a teenager who's dressed in 19th century cadet uniform. Oddly enough, when he's seen, he's smiling, even though it looks like half of his head has been blown off. Now, the story goes was that this young man was actually a cadet there at one point, and during the Civil War, when the original school was attacked, um, there was a cannon, uh, kind of a cannon battle, and a cannonball that came through and blew through the wall is what killed this cadet. Um, it of course killed others, but ever since the cadet has been seen wandering the upper floors of the Embassy Suite Hotel in Charleston. He said to appear um, walking around the area of room 113 uh, from as recent as the 2020s when a cardiologist came to a cardiology conference held at the Embassy Suites Hotel. When she checked in and went to her room, she noticed the young man wearing a gray coat with a dark gray stripe down the back, um, and was standing there in the room. And what disturbed her most was that it looked like he was missing the top of his skull. She kind of dropped everything, including her coffee, and went to go get somebody at the front desk. And when she got there, the clerk was just like, "Yeah, we can get you another room. That just seems to be where he's at today." This has been a common occurrence at the embassy suites um, over the years, where people have checked in and been surprised to find that they have a guest in their room of the lost cadet who periodically just appears in random rooms, smiling and like he's having a good old time traversing around. So if you ever want to meet a ghost and have a very nice stay, because I mean the Embassy Suites, that's a pretty decent 3-star hotel, I think. Um, Maybe go visit the Citadel's Lost Cadet. Stay at the Embassy Suites, get yourself a nice breakfast. Just don't be surprised if you wake up in the morning and there's a guy missing half of his head at the foot of your bed. Now we transition, because I think that was a good story, but this is the better one. This one goes back to kind of the beginning of our nation. This is the curse of Tippecanoe, also known as Tecumseh's curse, or the 20-year curse. Now, I'd never heard about this, and it's surprising to me because I generally know a lot about um, these things, especially when they have so much to do with history, because this was a curse that was laid upon American presidents by um, Tenskwatawa, a Native American leader who was defeated at the Battle of Tippecanoe. Now, this was brought to me by my loving partner, Crystal, who was like, "Hey, did you know about this?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I have to share this with everybody." So, what is the curse? Well, during the Battle of Tippecanoe, which was part of the American Indian War, as the Native Americans fell, Tenskwatawa, who was known as the prophet of the Shawnee tribe, laid a curse upon the American presidents. He cursed the great white fathers, the curse being that in every year divisible by 20, the leader of the country would suffer. Now, there have been 8 presidents who died in office, and 7 of them were elected in the years divisible by 20. Those 7 are William Henry Harrison, Abraham Lincoln, James Garfield, William McKinley, William G. Harding, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and John F. Kennedy. Now, here's the kicker. Person who was supposed to befall the curse next after JFK was Ronald Reagan. We all know he died several years after he was in office. Following Reagan was George W. Bush. And there are some arguments that the 2021 either falls on Biden or Donald Trump, whichever way you look at how the election was supposed to go. Reagan didn't die in office. So did Reagan break the curse? Well, let's talk about that. Okay? Because there are those who believe that even though Reagan did not die in office, Reagan was attempted to be assassinated. And during the Reagan era, America did undergo the AIDS epidemic and the crack epidemic. Well, if Reagan didn't survive the curse because of what happened during his presidency, surely George W. Bush survived it, right? Not by the theory that some are presenting, because during George W. Bush's presidency, we had 9/11, Katrina, the Iraq War, and a major recession. So that brings us to 2020. Yeah, enough said about that. So, is the curse over or is the curse still ongoing? That is an argument that a lot of people are still having. Have we broken the curse, or is this curse doomed to haunt Americans throughout history? Is there a way to break the curse? I mean, look at what has happened to some of these presidents. Um, just going from the most recent official curse victim, that would be John F. Kennedy, who everyone knows was shot in Dallas, Texas during his presidency. He was assassinated. Ronald Reagan was shot and wounded just 2 months after his inauguration. Okay, Abraham Lincoln assassinated. Um, it's very strange when you think about everything that's happened to these presidents throughout the years. James Garfield was assassinated on September 9th, 1881. William McKinley assassinated. Warren G. Harding had a heart attack just 3 years into his thing. A cerebral hemorrhage took out Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So, what does this mean? What does this mean? I couldn't tell you. What I can tell you is that for the last 40 some odd years, the presidents who fell under this curse have not died in office. However, there have been major historical tragedies that have happened during their presidency. And to understand, if the curse is true, Ronald Reagan outlived that curse by more than 24 years when he passed away from Alzheimer's disease in June 5th, 2004. So if you count just the fact that the president had to die in office, then Ronald Reagan officially broke the curse. The curse was broken by Ronald Reagan. But if you consider the amount of things that have happened during the presidencies of these men every 20 years, and you can go back, I mean, we have William Henry Harrison, who died of pneumonia, but also was the beginning of some of the most trying times for America in the early years. Abraham Lincoln, the Civil War, he's assassinated April 15th, 1865. James Garfield in the 1880s, that's when we have that period where everybody's like, that was the greatest time in America because four people were super rich and everybody else was really poor. And then 1901, William McKinley, I don't remember what was happening in 1901, so I'm not really sure. But in 1923, William G. Hardy is ushering us into the Great Depression. In 1945, Franklin Delano Roosevelt was the president during World War II. Okay, and let's not forget that he technically served 2.5 terms. He was the last president to serve more than 2 consecutive terms. Kennedy during the 60s, he's assassinated during the civil rights movement. Reagan, we all know what happened during the Reagan era: Reaganomics, AIDS, crack, um, hypodermics on the shore, China's under martial law, rock and roll, the Cola Wars. I can't take it anymore. Bush, 9/11, Katrina, and Joe Biden came in during 2020. I'm not sure if you can say that anything was worse than 2020 right now. I mean, there's possibilities. Probably you could say plenty is worse than 2020, but we're not getting into that. Anyway, those are our stories for today. I hope you guys enjoyed them. I really do want to thank Crystal for turning me on to the presidential curse, because it's amazing to me to think that there was so much that went on in history that could be tied to the fact that Native Americans just said, you know what? You got bigger guns, we got bigger magic. Um, Remember to check out Not Just Paranormal. A new episode will be airing on Saturday. And uh, Valmont, the Black Raven Chronicles is out. Episode 4 is coming March 1st. You can get the rough cut on Patreon right now and hear what it's going to sound like before it gets edited and all the bonus stuff gets added in. As always, I am your Carolina storyteller, Miller, and stay spooky, my friends. We'll see you next time.